Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Danny Dumas, and this is the Earn Your Title podcast. I am following up last week's discussion about me getting myself out of a hole, figuratively, after I got helped someone get out of a hole, literally. If you haven't heard that episode, go ahead and check it out. I think it was a good one. And before I really get going, you might hear the audio is slightly different. I am not in my studio today. I had to record at a different location, so hopefully it sounds good. I will be back to my normal sounding self for the next podcast. But yeah, I thought this was too important to not get one out. So last week I talked about my struggle, my journey towards kind of be feeling stuck and I realized that because I was stuck in a spot because I had made decisions and or maybe life had happened to me. I hadn't made those decisions. And what I realized is that I could get myself unstuck by making different decisions. And so if you're in that scenario and you found that you were stuck and now you're unstuck, what do you do? Well, I don't want you to take off, right? Just go out to the world, and I want you to start to plan the right direction you want your life to go in. Because if you get stuck because you made poor decisions and you're in a bad situation, probably because you didn't have a plan. And I'm going to preface this with saying that I don't think having a plan is really useful outside of a short term. Like following a plan to build a project, following a plan for a vacation, all these things are probably pretty good. Having a 5-year plan, probably not useful. Having a 10-year plan, probably not useful. But the process of planning, the actual thinking through things, that's what I think is the most important part. For instance, I'm now 44. When I was 20, I became a firefighter, and they told me, listen, we have a pension. You can work 25 years and then retire. And so I could retire at age 45. So I sat down with a financial planner a year or two into my career and said, hey, this is what it looks like in 25 years from now. Can I retire? What kind of money do I need to save? And, we came up with a plan. And the process of planning was important. I was going to put money into this account, into that account. And by the end, I would have this much. And it looked like feasibly I'd be able to retire. Well, that plan completely was blown up. The department that I was with went bankrupt. I had to go to another department where everything changed. Now next year I'll be 45. It would be the year that I retire. I've got 13 to 16 more years to work because my life happened. Life happened. Now, the planning part, putting money in this account was super important. It set me up for success. It set me up for, to be able to do things now that I would like to do that I thought maybe I wouldn't be able to do for the future. So that was really good. The planning was good. The plan wasn't that important. In my personal life, 7 years ago, I went and got a physical, and doc's like, everything's good. I said, yeah, everything's good. I said, you know what? We've got 2 kids. I think we're okay with 2 kids. So he gave me a prescription for a vasectomy or referral for vasectomy. And now I have a 6-year-old. I didn't follow through with that. And the plan of only having 2 kids completely fell through. Right. And that's okay. Like, that is life. And if you're a detailed person, if you like a plan, sometimes that's the hard part of life where the plans just don't work out. But I do want you to plan. The planning process is important. The plan, take or leave it, it's going to change. I like what Mike Tyson said. He says, everyone's got a plan to get punched in the face. Sometimes you get punched in the face. Sometimes someone gives you a dozen roses. Life is good. Life is bad. But I do want you to plan. And I found that there's 3 areas in my life that I want to plan for, 3 areas that I think I want to think through so that when I get myself out of this hole and I start heading in the right direction, I know it's the direction I want to go in. So the first one is financial. And the way I like to have a plan is to come up with what's important for me. Like and really look at people that are 10, 15 years ahead of me and how did they get to where they needed to be? And for one thing for me is using debt wisely and trying to avoid debt. I will not buy a TV with a credit card. That is something me and my wife have decided not to. We're not going to go into consumer debt with a credit card. Now, if if I don't have cash and all of a sudden I need to buy 4 brand new tires and I don't have $1,000, well, then that's a necessity. If I didn't have it, I'm going to, I'm not totally opposed to debt. Things happen. Again, I plan on never using debt, and life happens, and sometimes I have to use debt. I once paid off a car completely, and 2 months later, the engine died, blew up, and it cost me $8,000. I wasn't prepared. I had to go get a new auto loan and continue to pay off my car. But I had planned to not be in debt. And I think just that a process of how are we going to do that? Well, if we know we want a new TV, I need to save $100 a month up for a year, and then I can buy a $1,200 TV. So the planning part is just, yeah, I think it's super important for savings. Savings is, it has really made my life, portions of my life awesome. I have a savings program. When I started when I was younger, I was putting money into a tax-free account. And then when my department went bankrupt, that money, instead of waiting till I'm retired, I've used that money as my, make my life awesome fund. All the major vacations I've taken the past 2 or 3 years, I've taken money out of that because of some tax benefits. I didn't have to pay penalties and went on really cool vacations because that was important to me. Like, I think sometimes some people think about savings and they just think about when I retire, when I retire, when I retire. Well, when you're 60, 65, when you retire, you might not be able to go hike the Appalachian Trail because of age. And if you wait to experience life, you might not experience the life you want. So saving, when it comes to finances, should be in line with all the other goals. It's not just about retiring. The goal in life is not, and I thought it was. When I was younger, I thought I would be 45, I was going to stop working. That'll be awesome. I don't ever plan to stop doing something that I consider fruitful, even if it's hard. I plan on working something in my life, and whether it's a hobby or, community building or my church till I die. That I realize that we're not meant to be on this earth to not do that. So to me, savings was important. I'm going to be a giver. I talk to my kids about, we're givers. It's what we do. We have a need, we give. And the last is spending, is where am I going to spend my money on? And one of the things that me and my wife have decided, and this is part of the planning process, is we're going to spend our extra money on experiences, not things. So if for a family gift every year, instead of, like buying my kids the new PlayStation, uh, we're going to go see a Broadway show. And I think that's been really good. So I'm not telling you that you need to incorporate everything that I've done. What I'm telling you is that you should think and plan for the future so that when you get to the future, your life looks like what you want it to look like, realizing that you can't plan everything and everything won't be perfect. But I think that's a very helpful goal, is to just kind of get it all down on paper, write it down, plan, and realize the plan's not going to work, but the planning process is important. The other one is, I think, my health and my family's health is paramount. You can have all the money in the world. Financially, you can do amazing. But if you're, at 55, you have a stroke and you're laying in bed for the next 20 years, life is not what you want. So some things that we've put together from a planning standpoint is that we eat together most of the time. Now we're in the middle of sports season. Like, my daughter had a volleyball game. I know my wife didn't have a home cooked meal where we all sit down and eat. No big deal. But in general, when we're all home, at least one meal a day, we eat together. That's what we do. On my personal side, I don't eat McDonald's. I will never choose to go to McDonald's if given the option. Now, have I eaten McDonald's? Absolutely. I've had McDonald's a couple of months ago. The family was like, hey, we're going to McDonald's, and I ate because when you're planning, right, you have to have a little bit of room. But in general, I don't eat McDonald's, and for the most part, I don't eat fast food. Like, now, I don't consider Chipotle Qdoba fast food because I eat that probably once or twice a week when I'm pretty busy. That's kind of my go-to. But again, we're just going back to planning, thinking, putting daily policies and procedures and guidelines in place so that we're getting to the place that's important. I think another important place where I put a lot of thought into planning is in my relationships and thinking of priorities of where I'm going to spend my time. And as I've gotten busier, time is really the valuable part in the relationship. And in all this stuff, I try to be about 80% consistent to my goals and my plan. For instance, don't eat McDonald's. I'm 95% on. I do eat McDonald's, and that's it. That's what we do. But if relationships, I have decided to prioritize if I can. If my kids need me and my wife need me at the same time, I'm giving myself to my wife because me and her are in this for the long haul. My kids are going to grow up and they're going to move on. And I hope it works out. We've got 20 years in. We think we're doing pretty good. But if I can prioritize my wife, she can be the mother she needs to be. She can have the mental space she needs to have. And I think for some things, my kids need my wife way more than they need me. So if I can prioritize my wife and her needs and her wants and her desires over my kids, now it's going to be a close second. My kids are going to be right there. But if I have to choose, I choose my wife. I think in a relationship, it's important to make time for friends. Sometimes you get sucked into just your own little family unit and we don't develop outside friendship. And I think that can be dangerous because you, at least from a guy standpoint, you need guy friends. You need a best friend that's a guy. And a lot of guys will say, my wife's my best friend. And I disagree with you. I think when you were dating and she was your fiance, she was your best friend. And she should have been. But to me, that is like the free trial. If you have the free trial best friend, when you get married, you upgrade to the premium subscription. Like there's more benefits, but it's costly. It's going to cost you something. I don't think your wife you should say she's your best friend because that's a demotion. Wife is above best friend. I think I've said this before. You can tell there's a difference between your wife and your best friend. And this will be a thought experiment. Don't actually do this, but go home and tell your wife, what? It looks like you've been getting a little fat. Maybe we should work out together. It's a thought experiment. Don't do this. Now, go see your buddy, your best friend, and go, hey, dude, I think you're getting a little fat. I think we should work out together. See the difference in reaction. If your wife wouldn't react like your best friend, she's not your best friend, she's your wife. She's a step up. She's the premium package, all the benefits. And it's a better thing than best friend. So don't demote your wife. But you do need time to have a best friend because your best friend can say things to you that your wife can't or shouldn't or won't. So we need to cultivate time for friendship. You need to cultivate friendships for your kids. We have a family that we vacation with at least every other year, and several years it's at least once during the year. And it's because one, they're friends and they're really fun to be around. Two is I want my kids to be friends with their kids because they're good people. I cultivated that relationship. We create events so that they can be together. We actually moved from the house we were in to this new house, and part of the reason is we wanted a place where all of our friends could come together and they could be at our house, a safe atmosphere, that they had room to get away from us and go do the thing in the rooms in the basement. But that was a financial decision that was based on a relationship decision because it was part of our plan. We want a place that's safe for our kids to bring their friends over. That is important. When it comes to relationships, we are going to value spending time over spending money on things. As opposed to if I don't need to go work overtime, I want to spend time with my family. I'm not going to get that back. And I think some guys fall into that trap of providing, so they work a ton. And their kids and their wives have a lot of really nice things. And I saw a thing, what my friends were posting is, I'd much rather show up to every single one of my kids' basketball game in a $5,000 used car. It's never show up while I'm driving around a $50,000 Suburban. And that's really powerful. Spending time with your kids or spending time to buy things for your kids. I think it's very valuable. So as you find yourself, planning life, coming up with what you think is the right way to go. And I'm not saying anything that I said is right for you. These are some of the things that are right for me. Really make a plan. The planning process, writing it down, talking about it with your wife, coming up with some core beliefs as a family, so important. Realizing that none of it might happen the way you think, but you're constantly going in the right direction. That's what matters. Getting to the right destination, maybe not as important. Heading in the right direction is what's important. So hope you found value in this. I'm going to continue this series for the next couple podcasts. Again, if you like this, please leave me a review. I'm looking forward to reading those. I love 5-star reviews, and that would be very helpful. I can't wait to talk to you again. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Danny Dumas, and this is the Earn Your Title podcast, and I will talk to you later. Bye.